It's back, baby. This '09 Challenger. 6 months ago, I put a catback exhaust system on it for the fella. He brought me an exhaust. Said, "Hey, will you put this on?" Sure. Car's got like 9,000 miles on it or something. Unbolted the exhaust, bolted the new one on. Great. It's going out to test the exhaust system, we'll say. Had the car sitting here running on the lift, just sitting here idling, and it was just like somebody shut the key off. I'm sitting back, I remember I'm looking at the tailpipes and it's running, and all of a sudden I was like, bleh, just like the car shut off. I'm like, well, that's kind of bizarre, you know. Reached in. I think it just cranked at that point, didn't hear the fuel pump, tried again, started, ran for a while, did it again. Kind of bizarre. And then it wouldn't do it. It's like, well, that's kind of weird. You know, what the heck does, you know, taking the exhaust on and off have to do it? You know, there's no welding, no cutting, torching, no nothing. Simply unbolting, cat back, you know. Shouldn't have anything to do with this drivability issue. Customer said he never had that problem prior. Of course, you know, ever since you. He wasn't saying that, but. So he took the car, drove it quite a bit. I think it ended up crapping out on him. Eventually had it towed back here. Of course, you know, dang thing started right up. Hasn't died since. Drove it the last fall, whatever, used it, put it up for the winter time. And then what he was doing is it sits inside of his garage for the winter. He's got some other cars that he has, other Chryslers here. And he goes out and starts them up. You know, we get the warm days in winter, starts them up, lets his cars run. So, you know, throughout the winter, this car's been getting started. Well, finally, it quit in his garage, and it hasn't started since. So we made a plan to have it towed here. Obviously, here it is. Tow truck showed up. I'm like, you know how the tow truck rides are. Any of you guys in the shop, you get a car that's dead. As soon as you get it near the tow truck, you know, it comes back to life. Fortunately for us, it did not, because before you unload it off tow truck, I'm like, let's just see if it runs. Wouldn't start, just cranks. We unloaded it, tried it again, still just cranks. We pulled it into shop and lawnmower, still just cranks. So last I knew, it just cranked. So we're gonna verify that, and hopefully, fingers crossed, that it stays broken long enough that we can identify what in the heck is going on. The guy is, he's not upset, he just, you know, you get a car that intermittently dies like this, he doesn't trust it. You know, you could be pulling out into traffic and all of a sudden this thing just wants to shut off. Well, that could be, you know, dangerous, I guess. Or, you know, he wants to go down to Carlisle, down the car show, or, you know, whatever. You know, you got to be able to trust your car, especially when it's, you know, less than 10,000 miles on it, or wherever this thing's at. So that's it. That's a story. You can go back and watch that video I did 6 months ago. For some reason, I went way off into the weeds thinking it was something in the fuel pump circuit, because when it did die in the lift, I did hear the fuel pump shut off. But we all know on port injection, when you kill the fuel pump, this engine will continue to run for at least a minute with no fuel pump, just off residual pressure in the line and the rails. And for some reason, I just wasn't thinking, which was a lot of my problem in my youth as well, according to my parents. And I just wasn't thinking. So here we are, it's broke. Let's think this time and try to figure this car out. Step one, verify customer complaint. Please don't start, please don't start. Let's see, 9,638 miles on the clock. Please don't start. Yeah, boy. Okay, no start. Did we see the tack move? We do. Okay, the tack moves. Check engine light does come on. Radio comes on, so everything looks pretty normal in this regard. So let's not fiddle too much. Let's leave the key turned back off. Let's grab a scan tool, plug in, see, you know, are we communicating, what's going on? It tells me that we probably have, you know, crank signal because our tack's jumping up. That's about all the data I want to gather in here. Let's put it in a scan tool and just see what we see there, and then come up with a plan. So I'm hesitant to even put a, you know, battery maintainer or anything on. I just try not to want to change anything here until we gather some stuff. It did auto ID, so that's good. All I did is plug in the BCI module here for the Altel, and it auto ID'd, so that's good. So it tells us we're probably talking to the PCM. We're just going to do a fault scan on it here and see, make sure everybody's talking. Because if it does start, we need to have some data as far as what we see and what we don't see. All right, well, it looks like we got a bunch of green lights. So that's good, except for the wireless control module and TPMS there. So let's go to the report, see what we have here. Remote keyless entry, fob 1 battery low. All right, well that won't make it not start. So now we're back to reality. Now what? What are we gonna do? I don't know. We got no codes, that means we can't fix it. No, it doesn't. What we need to do is find out, what are we missing? Do we not have spark? What's going on here? That's just, that is kind of bizarre that there is no codes, I'll give it that. Whoa! That's a big one. Let's see. What's going to be the easiest thing to do here? Think, man, think. I think the easiest non-invasive thing to do is going to be check, do we have, power and control going to the coil, power and control going to an injector. We gotta start somewheres here. Let me get a prying apparatus. And I think this is going to be the easiest place to start and gather some information. Alright, so there's that. We're just using Noid light because it's easy. Alright, so this is for our injector. We'll slip her in here. Probably should go get my glasses. Something doesn't feel right there. There we go. Okay. Let's I'll just keep you guys right here. I'll just crank it right now. As long as I can see it. Should be good. Okay. Alright, so we have injector pulse. That's good. Or at least we have injector pulse on cylinder 2. It doesn't smell like gas, I'll tell you that. Do we have control going to the ignition coil here? Okay, so we have control going to the ignition coil. Interesting. So we should have spark and we should have injector pulse. Therefore it should run if it had fuel. We can give her a little sniff of the old Cosby sauce, see if it blah blah. Let's do that. We'll do it live. Because if all's right in the world, it should give a little blah blah. Okay. We'll pull out the intake air temp sensor. We'll get the old Cosby sauce here. We'll give it a little left-handed hook. Shoot her at the throttle plate. Oh baby! That should be enough to make it cough at least. Or explode. Contact. Okay, it shut off on its own. Alright, well, we've learned some stuff. We've learned that yes, we have spark. Yes, we have injector pulse. Yes, it'll run with alternative fuel, we're going to call it. We're missing fuel. What is peculiar? What's peculiar is the way it died on my lift the first time it died. Now, you guys weren't there. It was just me, so I'm just recalling this out of memory. Vanessa was there too. We were like out in the parking lot looking at it, looking at the tips, everything's straight, and then just bleh, the car just died. I mean, just like that. Just like you shut the key off. And as I mentioned, that's why I went for the fuel pump, because I remember when it did that and we were fiddling around getting it started, I heard moments when the fuel pump didn't turn on. But then I think if you go look at the video we did, I straight up had the car running. I unplugged the fuel pump. Just unplug it, right? Take her out of the mix. This car sat there and ran for better than a minute, and then it kind of stumbled and chugged and coughed and puked, and then eventually ran out of gas. As it sits right now, or as it seems, we don't have any fuel. Obviously. We have spark, we have injector pulse, we have no codes, you know. Obviously it's a fuel delivery issue. We gave her a little toot of the good stuff, and you know, she's off to the races. So we need to diagnose the fuel control circuit. I think probably the best thing to do is pop the back seat out while it's still not running and see, do we indeed just have a lack of power to the fuel pump? It doesn't explain though why it died like it died initially. That's the part that's not sitting with me too easy right now. Let's stick this back on there. You imagine going to the car show without one of these on there? You might better just go home, my guy. That's not right. There. That's worth at least 5 points. 5 points each, 10 points. But the mobile cap on backwards, could you imagine? What kind of animal does this? Is that, oh, is she a click type? This is savage. There, my gosh. No wonder he's got no trophies. Before we pop the back seat out, let's make sure. Make sure she's still dead. It might cough a little. The rest of that. Okay, so I make sure the rest of the good stuff was out of there. Before I pull the back seat out, I am going to look at a wiring diagram and see, you know, is there a fuel pump fuse? Can we check for an output there to see, are we missing, or do we have output there but we're missing it back here? Let's gather a little data before we get too hog wild. Alright, let's snag the bin, push and hold. If you got an Altel down here by the bin, it'll copy your VIN for you. We'll go to service info here, we'll control V that don't work. And we'll push and hold, we'll hit paste, we copied our VIN. Alright, let's go right to a wiring diagram, system wiring diagrams, engine performance, the big one. Let's find the fuel pump. That's not it. Let's find our glasses first of all. Don't fight it, Eric. What we got there? Injectors and coils probably, oil temp, oil pressure, crank. Where is the fuel pump? Don't see it right there. Fuel pump. Okay, here's our power wire. Let's follow that up. Goes to number 17. Number 17 comes across, goes to number 15. Number 15 comes all the way up here to the fuel pump relay. Power distribution, right rear of trunk, fuel pump relay. Ugh. We do have a fuse that feeds it. Like my wife, it's hot at all times. What's your best approach there, Rocco? Well, I tell you what. Let's go back to the fuel pump relay. Let's find the fuse. Let's make sure fuse number 6 is hot at all times. And if it is, we will see, does the fuel pump click? Doesn't mean it works, but is it back there clicking? Perhaps. Let's go back into our scan tool here and let's go to diagnosis. Let's go to active tests. Let's see if we have a fuel pump relay test, because that would be helpful. Fuel pump relay control state. There we go. Okay, so let's get a custom list. Is there anything here fuel related? Fuel pump. Let's see what is all of our fuel related data pins here. fuel level, fuel pump relay. We can do that one. Okay, we'll hit OK. And we don't have the key in the cut on position, apparently, because we have no data there. But that's what we'll do. Let's find this relay. Hopefully the box is labeled. I think Chrysler likes to label their boxes. And then if we find that, we'll go back, we'll use the scan tool. Do we hear it clicking? You know, does our fuse have power? Because I don't want to touch it, because if we touch it, all of a sudden it's like, ta, you know, everything works, then, well, then what? Then what was it there, buddy? I hope you're kind of following along the process here and it all makes sense. Something out there is smelling good. Something in here is looking good. Some Benny, sauteed onions.
And your favorite?
Rabbit food. Got the pineapple. Pretty lucky man, you know.
I know.
You're a pretty lucky lady, you know.
I know.
Yeah, there's a good kitty. Yeah, there's a kitty. Alright, we gotta get back to work. Or should I go wash my patties? Go wash my patties? Well, let's get the woofer, the big kicker. That's fun. Alright. So, let's see. So there's that. I'll have to move you guys. Did we do a video on a charger? A gray one? Remember we fixed for a girl? I don't remember what was going on with that. I had a bunch of mixed up relays in the back. Anyhow, our 1 o'clock appointment's done. We had a lady break down. Vanessa's giving her a ride home. And we've got a little bit of time before our 3 o'clock shows up. All right, we'll pull the lid off this. Everything is numbered. Well, before we get too far, let's find a legend so we can find out which number is which one's the fuel pump relay, which one do we expect to hear click. I guess, well, I don't have the key cut on. I got the scan tool. Let's figure this out. Let's see here. What do we have? Relay, fuel pump. Let's see, which way does this thing go? Goes like so. Fuel pump relays, this guy right here, don't touch it. All right. I do have the button in full cut on position. I don't feel like doing a screen record, so we're gonna go like this. And remember, we could bring up the fuel pump status here, so we'll just retype in fuel pump relay. We're gonna hit OK. Oh, listen. Wait, you guys hear that? Got it toggling right now. Turn it back off, turn it on. Wow, I tell you what, I don't want to go yanking that out yet. That's interesting. I'm going to get a stethoscope, stick on that just to make sure I'm hearing, you know, I don't, like I say, just because this car is so weird, I don't want to assume like, oh yeah, it's fuel pump relay, we yank it, but it's one of these guys over here, which, you know, what do we have for relays? I guess before we get too excited, too off in the weeds here, we have transmission relay, not worried about. Accessory delay, we have. Rear defogger, we have. Run relay. I just don't think we're going to find a problem with any of those, because where's the auto shutdown relay live? But we don't even have to worry about that, because let's be honest, we have spark, we have injector pulse, which all, you know, main powers on Chryslers come from the auto shutdown. I just want to stick a stethoscope on here to make sure that's our culprit. Shit, you know what? I just heard the fuel pump kick on right there. Damn it. It's working now. Yep, car's gonna run now. Interesting. Here, let's do it live. Yeah, dollars to donuts. It's gonna fire right up now. Why on earth would this car have stalled initially? Okay, great. Okay, let's go back and see if that's chattering again. Yep, okay. Stop right there, Rocco. Go get the stethoscope. Chattering. Let me just make sure what a good one sounds like. Okay, definitely not that one. Oh, now she's clicking normal. Okay, now it's clicking normal. Dang it. Okay, definitely is that relay that we're hearing. At this point, I'm going to pull it out. Obviously, the car's super clean. No evidence of mice back here. Let's turn it on and just stick it in. Now it sounds like she's snapping nice. It just doesn't make sense to me, people. Anybody that goes back and watched the first video where we saw this, you know, not running, it just doesn't make sense, because I mean, this car shut off like you turned the freaking key off. Well, let's just prove that. I don't know, it's not sitting easy with me. All right, let me go start the car. You guys stay right there. Should fire right up. Oh yeah, hemi thunder. Now watch. It's not like shutting. Well, now see there, it petered out pretty quick. Let me do this one more time. Okay, let's pretend we didn't know we pulled this out. You know what? You know what the difference is? When we were doing this last time, the car was hot. And when the car's hot, you're gonna have a lot of residual pressure in the rail because of heat. Because we were shown, I haven't watched that video in 6 months. I lived it though. And I remember killing power to the fuel pump, and that thing just ran and ran and ran and chuggled and coughed and puked, but I believe it was warmed up, fully warmed up, and that makes a big difference. I mean, we could actually prove it. We could warm it up, pull this relay out, and I guarantee you that the car will sit there and run longer when it's hot, just because of residual pressure in the fuel system. But when I first put this exhaust on, the car would have only been running for, I don't know, a minute or two, whatever, you know, had it on the lift, fired it up, standing back, admiring, you know, the tips and such. And then it had quit, so it would have been cold, so similar situation. So this makes a little bit of sense. Yeah, she's chattering again. Interesting, I wonder if that relay cools down and then starts acting stupid. Now, we don't have anything we can swap it with. Of course, we have the one here for the transmission, but I don't want to go setting a bunch of codes in that. Let me see if I can get us a relay because I'm assuming we just have a bad relay and it's just, you know, chatter and magnets weak on it. Now, could we have a problem on the control side? Oh, certainly, 100%. We're not worried about the load side. All right, so think about it, because what we're hearing is that, you know, click, 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 click. You know, it's chattering. So either it has the control signal is bad, which is pretty unlikely, not impossible, but unlikely, or we simply have a bad relay. And this one is from our 51st state, Canada. So I tried crossing that part number there. I don't know if focus on there or not. The 05269er 988 Alpha Alpha. It didn't come up with anything. When I was trying to cross it on the old Napper system, I checked with Fast Freddy's, Advance Auto, none of them had a cross on it. So I was like, well, must be something specific about the relay, just order it OEM. So I went to order it from my local Dodge dealer, put it in Repair Link, put it in the, you know, car bin and stuff, looked it up. Well, it's a different number. And so I put in this number, and it has been superseded to this newer number. So of course they didn't have it, so I crossed that newer number, and you know, Napa has one right on the shelf, about 20 bucks. So I thought it was weird. They usually don't supersede parts unless there's a problem. Right, Miss Doe?
There's your problem, lady.
That's it, baby. We got her, boys.
There it is.
That's what we're hoping for. We're just guessing at this point. So the first thing I did when I see the part number is superseded is there a service bulletin, which, you know, we should look for first, which I probably did initially. Hard to say. Never know what this guy's going to do. Didn't see any bulletins, no recalls. Nothing appeared to be out from Chrysler. You know, we all know that they have their fuel pump relay issues, usually on their integrated fuel pump relays. Now, I know a lot of you are saying, like, you know, why aren't we checking the control side? You know, how do we know the control side's not doing something funky? Well, we're gonna. When Napa shows up with the relay, we're gonna put it in, we're gonna turn it on, and we're gonna see if it does the same thing. If it does, we'll check the control side. I don't think we're gonna find an issue with that. I think we just have simply a bad relay, and then it would be nice to be able to stick this back in and see if it carries on again. You know, we haven't fiddled with much. I don't want to touch anything else, so that's it. You stand by. We'll see. And this maybe explains a little bit. I've seen these cars come in with the past with a medley of relays in the back. I think we've done videos on them. I don't know. Sometimes I get confused with videos in real life. Napa showed up with our AR533. I got the key cut back on. We gotta get this done before our other appointment shows up here, so let's just see something. Plug the OG back in there. Oh, never mind. Of course, now she's not gonna want to act up. When we initially turned it on there, it made a little ratchety. Yeah. Now she's doing it. Oh, there it goes. Not latch. Nope. Okay, so that one is still acting up. So theoretically, if we pop this little guy in, and it does the same thing. Now what, Rocco? Well, now you gotta go through and fix it for real. Let's plug this one in. Wait for this truck to go by. Or school bus, rather. That one there sounds pretty crisp and clean. Just for verification. Hopefully it's still broke. Yep, still broken. Well, that time it was crisp and clean. The first time she chattered there. try toggle mode. I'm confident with it, folks. I'm not gonna sit here and beat the dead horse, as they say, or something like that. The pins feel great when you pull it out. I mean, it has quite a bit of resistance going in. I'm calling it. If I'm wrong, I'll pay for the tow truck. I'm quite confident. At least in this. Not in every facet of life, but in my diags, I'm usually pretty confident. Alright, we'll send that back to Napa and say, sorry, we didn't need it. Oh yeah, no we won't. But some people would. There it is. Had to find the honker. Alright, we took our strap out the front from where we pulled it inside with the lawnmower. No lights on the dash. I'm surprised it didn't set a code for that low side of that fuel pump relay. Alright, we don't have a phone in this, so if it's gonna break, now would be the time, right? Well, that's it, folks. I almost forgot about you boys. Pulled in here, there was somebody I needed to talk to, so I came inside and then forgot to finish the end of the video. And then I did my 3 o'clock appointment and said, oh, I need to finish that video. So here we are, car's done. Absolutely confident that it's fixed. Sometime if you're ever working on your car, or you're working in a shop, or probably most of you know this in the shop, that when you have a car in, particularly a port fuel injection, this isn't really going to apply much to you know, a GDI injection, a little bit, but mostly port fuel injection when the fuel system is hot and the power is removed from the pump, you know, whether the relay or unplugging the pump, the car will sit there and continue to run for some time. It doesn't usually do like the, you know, shut the key off type business like this car did when it's cold. And, you know, I don't really feel the need to have to prove that to you, because you can just go watch the first video where the car was completely warmed up and we unplugged the fuel pump and that thing just continued to run like a champ until it finally fizzled out. But we see in this video where the car is stone cold and we remove the fuel pump relay and, you know, it shuts right off. So that's a big clue. I'm just glad we're able to fix it. I'm glad he's able to go home and park it back in the garage and not drive it, unfortunately. But that's his deal. What's up? You just gonna walk by us pretending like we don't see you, we didn't hear you?
I'm in here.
All right. Well, people can't even see you.
That's okay.
All right. Anyhow, I want to see you in that comment section. Look for it's on the Insta, the Facebook. And just remember, viewers, if I can do it, you can do it. Thanks for watching.